Welcome back. Now it's time to actually dive into creating these campaigns and the settings, right? And kind of seeing what you control and this kind of hyper target and rifling method that I've been talking about and what all these levers that you can pull are, right? So first off, I want to go ahead and hit plus. We're going to do a new campaign. All right, we're going to go with this website traffic. Again, continue with that. Collateral growth. Continue. So again, stick with your naming convention to keep it synonymous as you go through there, right? So collateral growth. Do display. Let's see, responsive display. So you have all the same settings as you go down through here, right? Get your location, always turn people in my regular location. Do United States just for this particular one. Now, in this campaign, like we can do conversions, right? This is websites. So your leads, your sales, and your website ones are going to be, you have the capabilities to either click or conversions. Now, again, I'm going to always stick with conversions or CPC bidding. I want performance-based, right? I want people to actually have to be engaged with that ad and click on it, make an action in order for me to pay for it. The other option is this viewable impressions. Not really a fan of the viewable impressions. Like I said, they're for me and what my agency does. You know, we're e-com, we're lead gen, we're very much performance marketing kind of individuals. So everything that I do, I like to be able to track it back. And that's what the current, like the conversions just really can, right? So if we're talking about more social and more top of funnel stuff, impressions might work a little bit, or might be a viable option for you. I wouldn't say it would work a little bit, but it would be a viable option. For these particular campaigns where we're just trying to get them hooked in and actually get the actual pixel attached to the user, we're going to do it based on click. I want them to actually hit on my website for me to be able to charge. I'm just going to do a penny as the bid here. Now with this one, again, since we're on display, right? Like I'm always going to, honestly, on display and YouTube, I'm going to start the stuff on standard delivery. Because of the fact that it's such a wide audience. Now, this is going to change as we get further down the funnel, right? This is the initial kind of awareness campaign. This is where they're trying to, get acquainted with the brand and know what it is. It may not, we picked the website visits because for me, like I said, on performance, I want to be able to attach that cookie, and that's the one time I want to pay with it. The reality of it is the display network it's huge. It's 100 times, if not 1,000 times bigger than search network traffic. So if you put it on accelerated delivery, you can literally blow through your budget without really even realizing it. Now, again, if very, very, very tight targeting, if you have, multiple layers of targeting in here, where you're doing, a really tight demographic, you're a really tight audience, and you've got your keywords in there as well, and it has to hit all of that, then accelerated delivery would be, a better option. But we're talking about top of funnel and more mid-funnel kind of targeting within this particular campaign. So we're going to do our standard delivery because I want to get a good breadth of exposure where I'm getting morning, noon, and night. And then I can always, if at the end of the day I'm not spending my budget, right, I can always change it to accelerated, or I can add additional targeting methods. I can always expand, right? Where retracting is a little bit harder sometimes with display, because if you throw it on accelerated, it's basically shotgun everywhere, right? And you may not have the necessary data points in order for you to optimize and improve. So try it on standard delivery first off to kind of check it out. If it's not spending the budget, then you can always go from there, right? Now, it's going to have additional settings within just kind of the exposure and how your ads are going to be shown, how many times they're shown, and so on. So you have the ad rotation, right? You have a couple different options. Do not optimize, rotate ads indefinitely. Optimize for conversions is not supported. Rotate evenly. Those are old methods. The only reason these are even in here is because if somebody still had them selected, Google won't deprecate the setting while they're still active within the account, right? But we only have two options setting up new campaigns. Optimize, prefer best performing ads. Do not optimize. Rotate ads indefinitely. If you're watching it very closely and you're in here on a daily basis and you're going to make changes and do the optimization, you can do this. Do not, but again, you see lower performing ads will run about as often as higher performing ads. and for an indefinite period of time. This option is not recommended for most advertisers. Again, the only reason this is recommended is if you're hyper focused in optimization and you're in here every day, even hourly, and you can make those optimizations as you see the statistics go one way or the other, right? I'm always going to go with optimized best performing one. We want to do the ad schedule just like within a normal campaign. We can go in here, set ad schedule. We'll do from 2 to 11 p.m. Guys, I'm always going to set an ad schedule for my campaigns just because there's very few valuable shit that happens at, 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, if you're a dating app, yeah, maybe those are, optimal times for you. But the majority of users, they're not going to be buying products at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So do stuff whenever you can actually, when the normal buying hours are, especially for limited budgets. Okay, you can utilize this to control to make sure that, hey, I know that my conversion rate is better from 6 a.m. to, 6 p.m., right? So you can set your scheduling there Monday through Fridays. I know I don't convert on the weekends, so I'll do that. Or you can add the weekends in, right? If I only want to do on Saturdays, but I only want to go from 1, from 7 a.m. to noon. So that's conversion time, right? Make sure you're adjusting this according to what you're seeing in the account, right? You have the reports where you can reference your time of day report and you can see exactly what your metrics are going to tell you. If you have, outside metrics, from just your business cycle, put those in there, right? You can always expand. Like that's the biggest thing about this is you can always find more targeting, but let's try and hyper focus it and use that rifle method to make sure that we're really getting in front of the people that are ready to buy when they're ready to buy and at an appropriate time. And as we go down here, this is where display really gets kind of fun, right? Show on all devices, or you can do specify specific device targeting. So this stuff is not capable within your search campaigns, right? So YouTube and display is going to give you the ability to exclude computers, mobile phones, tablets all together, right? This is excluding it. This isn't downbidding them like we can in search where you can do bid modifiers at the different levels, right? This completely excludes computers, mobile phones, or tablets. Now you can take it even further, right? You can get operating system, right? If I'm only doing an iOS app, then I probably only want to show up on iOS devices, right? So I'm only going to target these particular devices. If I'm doing a device model, let's say I only want to do iPads, right? Or I'm putting out music, right? I only want to target iPod touches. You can do that. You can also do networks, right? United States, as far as particular cell phones and different types, right? If I'm, if I'm a Verizon store, I'm only going to want to advertise to Verizon customers, right? I've got iPads for Verizon. That's it, right? I'm only going to advertise to iOS users on iPads, and they only have Verizon as a network. So these are some really cool settings that you can really hyper focus, the person and devices that you're really targeting, when and where you're targeting them, right? So the frequency capping. Now this is again only capable on YouTube and display. Now within YouTube, you're also going to have the ability to limit views, which we'll talk about that in the YouTube portion. But the impressions, right? You can set a limit. You can do it at each ad group, or the whole account. And you can do 1 per day, 1 a week, whatever. Campaign URL options. Now these are just the tracking URLs that we've talked about, and we're going to expand on in the analytics portion later on. But that's how you can really refine your tracking and hyper focus your understanding, your data presentation back into the system. Dynamic feeds. Again, this is if you want to use dynamic ads, right? You have to put in your dynamic feed, and it'll actually construct the ads for you. Not really recommended. Then you have your account level conversion, right? Are we going to choose a specific conversion, or are we going to do the account level conversion, right? I don't have any campaign specific purchase in here right now, so this is going to default to the account level purchase in here. So, and we covered in the previous one some of the content exclusions at the account level. See how they're automatically defaulted within the system here. Now we're just going to do test ad group. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this in here. Now, again, we can do the demographics as well as we scroll down through here. And all this is going to do is just limit our overall reach, right? Let's say we only want to be that top 10%. You see it drops us way down from that 10 billion. So utilize all these levers again to pull it. Now, the other thing that you can do within the display network or display campaigns, you've got content type, right? You've got keywords. We can throw additional keywords in here, right? Try custom intent audiences. That's basically audiences where they have all of this stuff in here, right? We talked about it in the audience, creating them. You can kind of, I'm going to do it more within the system rather than having to go back to the audience and do that, just because that audience side may vary where the keywords, this is going to throw it out in a more consistent nature. So we'll just do education, right? So you see now it's looping that in and my reach has gone way down, right, of what it is. Hit done there. Now I can go in and put additional ones as well. Like let's say I don't want to show up. So if I want to put in a specific, like there's these pre-described placements that are already in here, right? You've got websites, you've got YouTube channels, YouTube videos, apps, if you want to type in apps, and then app categories, right? I don't want to show up on any app categories typically. So throw those in there. All right, but if you want to put, let's say I want to put some websites in there and enter multiple placements. Now you can put in lateralgrowth.com. And then you just hit add placements and it's going to throw them over here, right? You can't add them through this section. You actually have to hit enter multiple placements and then put the URL in there. And then that'll put the placements within the account, right? If they're over here, they're available. Over here, they're actually in. And then if we want, we can even do a topic. Law and government. Then we get the expansion capability, right? Do half or go way high, get more reach. Again, like I've said before, I typically don't go above the halfway point. Most campaigns, for this particular campaign, it's very tight. I'm not going to do any reach. You do add group level bid. We'll do $1. I'm just going to create an ad campaign. I don't run the ads in there yet because there's one other thing that I want to show you here that's really, really valuable. There's a couple different additional adjustments that you can go in here, right? So we talked about the different placements and the different bid adjustments and how you can target, computers and laptops and all that fun stuff. Well, now you actually can go down, once you have this, you can actually do additional settings, right, for devices. And again, we've got it in here before. We down bid $100, we can go up by 50% here. And then if you're trying to prompt phone calls as well, you can do on, if this was a search campaign, you can do here, or we can do top content for display campaigns. So this is the option that's not available on the other one for top content. And this is just basically content that is very, very highly trafficked, right? Like if you're doing music videos, you're probably going to be targeting, Drake or Justin Bieber or Cardi B or whatever, right? And this is just allows them to bid more on that top content. So if you're in an auction and it's like, hey, you're head and head with this guy and he's trying to bid on the Outcast video and you're trying to bid on the Outcast video. He doesn't have the bid modifier. This is going to give Google the option or the free will in order to raise your bids to beat him out because it's on top content. All right. If this is something where it's really, really low volume content, like, any of my, old videos, right? That I'm talking about my family videos on YouTube, right? That's not going to be high relevant, high volume content on that. So it's not going to bid for those. But these are basically going to be what it's going to interpret as the highest volume content on site. So that's really the settings that you can adjust and the levers you can pull within the display campaigns in order to really hyper focus and really concentrate and dial in that rifle method and just really get your customers when and where they're looking for you, right? Be very, very strategic with the layering of each one of these because you can, as long as you're not worried about a little bit of work, and especially after we've given you the AdWords editor now, putting these campaigns and building them out should become second nature to you. So having to do a little bit extra work and targeting, building out another campaign or another ad group with a little bit more specific and more relevant ad is only going to do two things, right? It's going to lower your cost and increase your conversion, which is ultimately going to put more money in your pocket and make this more efficient, allow you to scale to greater lengths. So I would definitely encourage you to do that and hyper focus as deep as you possibly can within your message, because that quality score, even though we can't manipulate it or see it within display, it's still there. And the relevancy is still a huge factor of it. And the cost and the bidding is still based off of your ad rank versus your bids. So the better you can make the content, the relevance to your particular user that you're searching out or that's searching you out, the cheaper your costs are going to go down and the better you're going to be able to make Google Ads perform for you. So I'll see you in the next video where we expand further into writing these things and actually getting more creative with these ads and really showing there's more than banners to display.